So we've had this for quite some time, though obviously over the months, years, we've been adding different elements to it and so on. But the thing I wanted to mention is before I go into the analytics, because for them to make sense, you have to see what the analytics are coming from. But it's the main idea of why this ATP is important. Because everyone's always told, hey, you need this extra layer of protection. It's just extra cost, and you check this box, and things are safer. That's great, but knowing why someone is a very important aspect that I found when talking to different customers. And I've come up with this animation here to kind of make the process a bit easier to get. So when it comes to sandboxing, the idea would be, and this is going to be without sandboxing in mind. So, and this is not unique to VIPRE. This is how all the different groups out there are going to work. If there is no sandboxing, when a file with an attachment comes in, first off, the file attached is going to be the file that's as innocuous as possible, something that looks as just non-malicious as it can be, just to start the process of an infection. So it has typically like a Microsoft Office macro that you open and it just downloads something else. So that's all that has to get by the email security. So when it hits the email security server, it's going to scan it, check to see, hey, is there anything known bad about it? Are there any malicious properties that maybe give it away? But ultimately, that's all you really get because it's just a file running through their mail server. And then they deliver it. Happens to be a bad file, and you just have to hope something else is there to guard the machine. And to exemplify why the sandboxing is so powerful here, that malicious Office macro, pretty much all it does is open something else and download some other file. What the actual threat is going to do is going to be way more obvious that it's malicious. It's going to, from that malicious macro, pull down an exploit kit, which is going to prep the system and maybe do a whole bunch of data exfiltration on anything it can find, and then maybe eventually run ransomware. That all might happen in just a few seconds. But the point is, that's obviously malicious. And that's how sandboxing is going to come into play. So with sandboxing, when a file comes in, we're going to check, is there no bad or are there no malicious properties that give it away, right up front. However, if it's not immediately seen as bad and it's a file that could do something bad, it's going to be sent to the sandbox, which is effectively just a secure instance of Windows that we let the file just do whatever it wants. So in this case, we see, oh, all these things are very obviously malicious. We'll go ahead and stop it, so only the clean files come through. So that's the main idea. Instead of just being able to look at that very tiny foot in the door file the bad guys are sending and having to figure out, is that malicious, which that's what they put all their effort into, is making that first file as hard to detect as possible. It doesn't matter, though, when you just let it run and see everything it does through a sandbox. So that's an important thing that's these days kind of vital when it comes to the attachment security side of things. And when we're talking about ATP, this is the first half of it, that extra security for attachments. Now, we have something quasi-similar for link protection. And our link isolation and also deep link analysis process is going to allow us to make sure people are kept safe against something that's just obnoxiously easy for the bad guys to do. And I can't believe we don't have a term for this in the industry we're in. But the idea of post-receipt weaponization of a link. What they'll do is they'll send you an email, and instead of a file, right now we're just talking about a link inside that message. And it's just a redirector the bad guy controls. So just a link that when you go there, it goes somewhere else. They just happen to control where that somewhere else is. Right now, initially, they make it Google, and then they send it to everyone. They let all the mail servers scan it. They do, and they say, oh, hey, that link goes to Google. That's fine. So they deliver it. Then the bad guys wait 5 minutes. And then with copy and paste, they can change where that link goes. Now it goes to malware.bad. It originally went to Google, so the mail server thought it was fine, delivered it. The person clicks it, boom, they're encrypted, horrible stuff happens. However, the way link isolation works is when something's received, even if it initially looks good and it looks like google.com, we're going to redirect all of them for a rescan on click. So the person receives a message, they click the link, and we're going to scan it right now to see, oh, it goes to malware.bad. That's bad, and we're going to block it. The deep link side is all sorts of cool advanced stuff we do, because it's not just, hey, a blacklist check to see if it's known to be bad. However, we're going to be able to do like, is there any malicious files hosted with it, malicious scripting that runs when you land, things like Gmail instead of Gmail, the whole idea of domain copycatting and so forth. But the whole idea is none of this really needs to be difficult to set up. And that's one of the things a lot of groups fall short with, because this is a concept that's very, very important, just like the sandboxing, but it's also something that gets in the way a lot. With the link isolation, it can be a giant confusing process to get it set up. With the sandboxing, there can be all sorts of issues with how fast things take to scan, and that's kind of where the VIPRE side comes in. But I'll go into the actual analytics side that I promised next. So with all this information we're now gaining from the advanced features of sandboxing, the link isolation, we're going to get all this data, and it's going to go into the VIPRE Email Security Cloud Console. And we have two sides, our analytics, which is just going to give us the raw data of not only link click information, but also for threats. So any of these files that are sandboxed, we're going to get to know, hey, what are the file types? Who are the biggest targets? Who's the person attacking us the most? And all the information from across the entire network. And we can do the same thing with the link click analysis as well. However, our VIPRE Labs allows us to take this information and be a little more dialed in, where we can look at a report of, hey, are there any users that are targeted over others? Oh, this person really is. They've been targeted almost 7,000 times. So we can go click this, jump into the Threat Explorer, looking just this person, see all those details for just them. But this is something customers really like, not just in the sense of, oh, hey, I went and, got a new feature and I'm kept safer. But being able to go through and just see a chart that's a graph showing, hey, how many things did the sandbox actually catch that the normal virus scan wouldn't? Being able to see that information at your fingertips is huge. However, and this is just kind of a small extra thing that came with this feature edition, we have the ability to monitor by policy. And what that really comes down to is we can monitor for any specific event and report on it. It sounds small, but for all the different groups out there that are doing, all sorts of crazy, weird things that they're trying to track, this can make life so easy, and just uses the same reporting process you see here to just let them know what different rules triggered and why, so that they can keep all their information nice and together should they ever have to go back and look at it, to not just have, hey, figure out what time it was and just guess. But with all that said, that's going to be all already inside VIPRE Email Security Cloud. Those advanced features, which, like I said, normally are a giant pain to set up, but for us, sandboxing, check, use sandboxing. And for link isolation, you enable deep link inspection. And that's it. That's the entire setup of both those features, and boom, you are dramatically improving your protection. So with that, that's going to be the VIPRE Email Security Cloud Editions. A couple other things, I don't know if how often you maybe get an update, but things like Azure integration are now possible. So if you didn't know we had that, that's quasi recently released. We have SAML integrations for single sign-ons and so on. So a bunch of little quality of life improvements, but that's going to be constant, throughout the life of